Good morning, everyone. I'm Florence. I take care of our commerce partnerships. That includes payments. And I've been asked today to give you a lightning tour of our mobile payments proposition, Android Pay, and also tell you how it's bringing together the online and offline worlds. So let's start with a stat that Martijn actually showed you this morning already, 150. That's the number of times we take our mobiles out in a day. That number has been rising incredibly. And maybe let's just put that to the test. Who this morning woke up with the help of their mobile phone? Raise your hands. A lot. OK. Second question. Who used their mobile phones to try and find this place this morning? Raise your hands. Oh, I think there's even more. OK, so I think we rest our case. This is definitely a phenomenon that's happening. Now, I'm going to bore you with a few more stats that you probably know and that you've seen before, but are nevertheless remarkable. So we are finally at that time where over 50% of time spent on e-commerce sites is via mobile. It's almost 60%. That's massive. And we're also seeing that people use their mobiles to help them to shop. 75% of all shoppers do that. In fact, in the UK, it's closer to 80. So we know these stats. They're phenomenal. But here's the one that really has us upset. Less than 4% actually will pay with their mobile. And this is where we really have to think, my goodness, what a golden opportunity we are missing out on. And the big question is, why are mobile payments not working today? So we've got a theory. It falls into 3 buckets. And to be fair, we have been learning our lessons as well. So does anybody here remember Google Wallet? Raise your hands. Yes. Oh, gosh, a lot of you. OK. So we believe that there are a few fundamental issues with mobile payments. The first one is often they are limited. So they'll work in certain stores, not in others. They might work in stores, but not online. They won't work in-app. So first problem we need to tackle. The second one, it's uncompelling. Who here uses contactless cards to pay? Raise your hands. Yeah, pretty much everyone. Why use your mobile phone? There needs to be something else. And they're often closed systems, so there's no compatibility with other solutions. And as you can imagine, our focus is to try and come up with exactly the opposite type of solution. And to be fair, in our first solution, Google Wallet, we had some of those issues. We had a SIM-based solution. It wasn't always scalable with every store. We were spending a lot of time actually doing retail implementations. We didn't have a concept of an API, and things are changing slowly but surely. So we do think that mobile payments have to be universal. You have to be able to pay everywhere. They have to be valuable. We have to be delighting users. By that, we mean payments needs to become invisible. Uber has been so successful because the payment piece is invisible. I'm always in shock when I see how much I've spent at the end of the month on Uber. But wow, the service is great. I'll continue. So we need to delight our users, and we need to come up with an open platform. That open platform philosophy, that's another lesson learned we had from Google Wallet. We need that because this is a complex ecosystem of partners, of banks, of networks, of merchants and retailers. We need to have that open philosophy in order to work with people. So I can introduce Android Pay. What we are aiming to do here, we want every Android user to have a safe and very simple ability to pay with their mobile phones, both in-store, because that's still 80% of all transactions on average, and also in-app. And we're actually expanding this piece. The in-app piece is growing into mobile web. We're also looking at web payments in general. This piece is actually quite interesting. We think there's huge potential here. So we are actually putting a lot of investment, a lot of resources on this. But we have to get this right. This is the first and most important step. And what we've done, so we launched this product in the US, it was December of last year, and we have been following closely with a launch in the UK that happened about a month ago, a little bit over a month ago. So is anybody here using mobile payments? It doesn't have to be Android. Raise your hands. OK, a few. Yeah, starting to happen. We launched with a series of partners. This product is only possible when partners play the game. So we have to get everyone together. And we did manage to get a fair amount of banks. We're very pleased with that. We've got 8 bank brands up there. We still have some work for us ahead. We also launched with a series of retailers. So some of you are sitting amongst us today. Thank you very much. And to be fair, for the in-store piece, we don't actually have to have some sort of agreement with the retail community, but we still opt to do so because there are certain things that we want to do, from getting signage into stores to actually integrating loyalty cards and offers and distributing those. And so also to do clever consumer marketing. So we had an offer that went out. We have an Android Pay Day. We had a free Frappuccino at Starbucks last week, actually. So we're starting to do more and more of that. And then on the in-app piece, we have been partnering with a series of merchants. There is some work involved here. There's a little integration, but we're trying to make it as simple as possible, a couple of hours. And there's a lot of work that Google does to make this simple. So we've been working with payment processors and gateways, people like Braintree, Adyen, et cetera, to make this smooth, to make this fast. And so if we go back to our 3 tenets of making this universal, delightful, and also open, the first step, universal, paying everywhere. So before I go into this little overview of how you actually pay in store, one point I have to make. If we want to make this universal, it has to work on as many phones as possible. So Google is not in the business of selling phones. Our whole strategy with Android Pay is to have as many phones as possible working. That's all phones that are younger than 3.5 years, so KitKat 4.4 and above for those that are interested. And that's a lot of phones in the UK. So actually, when you look at exact numbers that are HCE enabled and all sorts of other technical speak, we've got about 14 million phones at least out there that can work with this. And that's a lot of phones. But to take it a step further, the in-store experience, I'm not even going to demonstrate it. It's so fast that it's boring to demonstrate, and that is exactly the purpose. So you wake up your phone for a low-value transaction. That's £30 in the UK. And basically, you tap the terminal, and off you go. If it's a high-value transaction, it will prompt you to unlock your phone. No more need to remember your PIN on your card. That's probably one of the nicest little things that we have. And off you go. You're sorted. You get a little receipt, and we actually combine that with Google Maps, which is a nice little feature that our users like. And obviously, there's room for a lot more integration with a lot more Google products here. So that's in store. But moving on to the in-app piece, same thing actually on the in-app piece. The thing that we are trying to target here is to make it as simple as possible. On average, you will be typing in about 120 times, 120 taps on your phone in order to give in your payment credentials when you're paying in-app for goods and services. We are trying to reduce that to a maximum of 4. And obviously, this is all about increasing conversion, but we see a lot of benefits on the back of this. We've got some nice case studies across our retailers, our fast food players. These are case studies from the US. We hope we're going to have some for the UK very soon. So what you see is, well, in this particular case, 4 times increase in conversion. We're seeing higher basket size and higher repeat purchases. And that makes sense because paying in-app today is really not always such a great experience. So as I mentioned, we are taking this a step further. We do want to go into the whole mobile web piece. We announced something at our I/O developer conference actually about a month ago called Payment Request. It's actually a cross-browser API standard we're trying to establish to make it simpler to pay. So again, this aim of increasing conversions. And we're also looking at expanding that across the web in general. So we're doing a lot of things to make this universal. Moving on, delighting users. Probably the part that will interest you the most. If we can delight users, we can also delight you. So how do we do that? Well, for us, it's commerce and it's not just payments. So we've made a lot of investments to integrate with loyalty schemes, with private gift cards, with offers. We have a distribution strategy called Save to Android Pay. And what we're trying to do here, and this is your wallet here, so you've got all your cards that you can add. You might have your loyalty cards as well. You might have an offer. And essentially, when you add a card, a loyalty card, it will actually prompt you and say, dear user, would you like geofence notifications? So this is an example of Starbucks. When we're passing by and we're close to a Starbucks, we might see that little notification, and we might get a little message saying, hey, you can get your free Frappuccino today. So again, it's bringing it all together, delighting users, making the payments piece invisible as such. Now, this is more of the boring part, nevertheless extremely important. So the open platform philosophy, which is completely in line with our Android philosophy in general. So we have created a set of APIs so that our partners are happy to work with us, and so that we can expand this. And specifically with our banking partners are all very worried about people coming in and disrupting those consumer relationships. Our message is, we are not there to take over that relationship. We are very happy for these banking partners of ours to actually use some of this technology and integrate it into their own applications. And that whole philosophy is actually pervasive throughout this product range that we're offering. So the message to you really is, we are making everything, we are guaranteeing that our banks are on board, that people are willing to actually grow this together. And with that, so that was the lightning tour. Thank you for those that are already working with us. It's been incredibly successful so far. So the UK is a very mature market for contactless. We've seen great adoption. In the first couple of days, our expectations were completely exceeded. So we're extremely excited. We want this to continue, though. It's very good to actually get those people excited that are already using their smartphones to do all sorts of things. We actually need to get to the rest. And we're working very hard on that. Our marketing plans are starting to come out. But for those that are not working with us who think, this could be interesting, if you're thinking of doing something as simple as getting signage in store, if you're thinking of integrating your loyalty, your offers, if you're thinking about actually integrating mobile payments on your apps, please come and see us. Come and see me. I will be milling around upstairs at the break. And with that, thank you very much.